Back. This is going to be one of the most explosive videos on the internet, and I had to censor a lot of it because a lot of the shit was so classified. I don't want to get into any trouble about anything, okay? This is something out of an Arthur C. Clarke book, but it's crazy, and believe me, it's real. My sources are secondhand. It comes from somebody that I know that works for the National Reconnaissance Office. His friend works on, he's a teacher teaching celestial navigation to pilots in space. Let me just get into this. This artificial space station that DARPA is running is not inhabited by humans. They're all robots. All that's there they're alien robots. They're very bizarre. All the matter in our universe was created by protons and electrons. Proton being the heaviest, the electron, of course, being negative and being the lightest. But this system works differently. They have antimatter protons, and instead of having electrons, they have what they call a positron, which is actually positive. It's the lightest of the two. These systems, this system is inhabited by robots. Humans cannot live there. I'm going to get into how we get there, who's running it. I can't get into how many light years away. It's not like it's 4 light years away. It's not traveling at the speed of light. But let's get into the International Space Station and how it has a lot to do with DARPA's space city in a different world. I'm going to get into this. Is the honest to God truth. No one has talked about this on the internet. It's so bizarre, the stuff he told me. It's just, I can't believe it myself, but being told from somebody that's up there. The 2 agencies that are running this right now, from what he explained, are the Navy and the Air Force. They have a special Space Command unit. And I'm going to go into how the International Space Station has a linking, how they connect to this. I'm going to get into how it's nothing more than a diversion. The International Space Station is a diversion to what's going on in space, okay? The space station, there are 4 other space stations outside. They're in the Milky Way, of course. They're not too far from the International Space Station. They're also linking devices to where this craft we have now that we launched about 2 weeks ago, which nobody's heard of it at all. It's just basically the X-37B. The X-37B also has a payload where it can also house officers and people in it. It has a containment bay center in there where you can people can go in there. It's just for cargo. It's unmanned, they say, but it's not. Well, I keep this lit so I can concentrate on this video. So, what happens here, folks? It's a diversion. And the International Space Station, they connect. This spacecraft, they will pick up different pilots. Different people will come from the International Space Station. Some of them have gone to there are 4 other space stations out there run by Russia. One's Russian. One of them is actually Chinese aerospace industry put that. There's another one that's from China. And there's another one out there that's Turkish. I'm going to light this up because this is explosive. And what's happening here is this X-37B, the OTV-4 or 5, you can call it, goes out into space, and it goes to other space stations. It rendezvous. When it rendezvous, there's another space station that will rendezvous before it gets to their stargates, folks, in space. Military stargates. These stargates will not just accept anything. They're tuned, or he said they were Stargates only will open up and can be used with special craft, is what he explained. He says certain space stations in space, I'll get into the other ones, are using special antimatter reactor power sources that only will go through the Stargate. You can't just put a craft through the Stargate. It won't work. He didn't explain to it all. Out in space, there are docking stations that house special craft for going through the Stargate, is what he explained. The Stargate opens up a space-time continuum linking to these antimatter worlds, galaxies that have antimatter planets. They're antimatter. It's a whole different system, but it's not human. They're all run by cyborgs. It's not. It sounds so bizarre. The Stargates are the key to travel. They're military Stargates. And it's not a question of traveling at the speed of light. The hell with the speed of light. You kill any pilot. They're linking devices. These antimatter planetary systems, this one I'm talking about, run by DARPA, was put up. Can't get into where it's at. He didn't explain for security reasons, but when you go through a Stargate, you're linking yourself to another planetary place in space through the Stargate. Some of these Stargates are like time machines. There's nothing to do with. There's another Stargate on the other side bringing you in, receiving you. Okay, it's like a transmitter and a receiver. They're linking devices. Okay. Now we all know that a neutron star can collapse into a black hole. When a neutron star collapses, it turns on a black hole and it consumes everything. They can create these artificial neutron stars in space with the technology they have for getting into different dimensions. When a black hole opens up, you should see the shit that you can see through it. Anyway, he went into the artificial black holes that are created in space, these dilation fields or whatever. They can create them from some of the spacecraft they have. They're using antimatter reactors, gravity. There's like 5 or 6 different craft that use their docking out in space. Not to do with the International Space Station. These are secret docking stations run by by China and supposedly the extraterrestrials. He says they're out there, man. And there's 4 rendezvous before you can even get to a Stargate. It's hard to explain. The Stargates are the key to getting to these interplanetary planets. They're all over. The ones that I'm focusing in now is this antimatter city in a different galaxy. It's in an antimatter galaxy. He didn't say where. These Stargates are military controlled. They only work with certain craft. The space stations, the Russian, the China, and this Turkish station all house some of these craft that are used to go through the Stargate. Not everybody can get through the Stargate. It won't accept it, he said. So, I'm going to go into part 2. My phone doesn't handle it all. This antimatter, a city in an antimatter galaxy far from here, is housing not human. They're robotic, cyborg, extraterrestrial type thing. There are no humans living here. They can't live there. A human cannot go to this planetary system. It's all antimatter. You'd be crushed. It doesn't work. Anyway, my cigar went out. I'm going to go into part 2. Hope you enjoy the video. This is just a segment of it. I'm going to go more extensively. I can get more technical with these Stargates a little bit. They're run by the Naval Space Command Center has one. The United States Air Force Aerospace Command Center is running. There's only 2 military operations that explain they're running it, are the Navy and the Air Force. Didn't get into anything other than this. This is secondhand information that I got through a friend. I'm just conveying it over to you the best I can from what I can recollect from remembering. Part 2 is on the way. Bill signing. Hope you enjoy it. Part 2 is coming up.